hella shameless. Necklace on me decorated. All this got me feeling jaded. Hold up, I'll be back.
I got a spare one for her to listen to. So, Brandon, thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate having you in. I'm digging the background, brother, because I'm already getting the African vibes from the background.
Oh, you already know. Art's going to be black. That's for sure.
Exactly. But, I appreciate you taking time out because I know you are heavy in schedule because you are well in demand.
The wrong ear.
Absolutely. All right, you got it right now. You can hear.
I gave her my headset so we can continue on with the interview. But like I said, thanks again for joining us because, like I said, I know you're the man. First thing I wanted to let folks know, give us your official title.
So I'm considered the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief Legal Officer for Steve Harvey Enterprises, Inc.
That's a mighty big title to carry.
It comes with its price, but it's legit and it's a good deal.
Okay. Well, before we get to how the journey started with you working with Steve Harvey, how did you get started in law altogether?
Well, first, my background is I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. For those that don't know, it's an all-male African-American school in the city of Atlanta. I got a math degree there. From there, I went to a school called Emory University School of Law, also in Atlanta. Went to work at a firm in Atlanta, Georgia called Alston & Bird. And I was a corporate litigator there for, 15 years. One of my clients at the firm was Steve Harvey. And ultimately, when I began to represent him, about a couple years in, he asked me did I want to come and join the organization. And, I talked to my wife about it. And next thing you know, I was moving to California and commuting from Atlanta to LA. And that was it.
So how many years under your belt do you have working personally just with Steve?
So I started representing him in 2015. He was a client of mine. And then I joined the organization in 2017.
Man, do you know, a lot of people got to know how fortunate you are. You're able to work the legal side of one of the biggest names in entertainment. But you're also a family man. I know She wanted to get all in your business. Thank you, Nikki. She wanted to get all your business because, of course, our brother is married to our cousin, Michonne.
Sure.
That we'll be talking to on Monday.
Business. She's like, okay, I want to.
But I'm curious, where did you meet this lovely woman, Michonne?
Actually, so again, this is one of those where your clients become some of your best friends. So one of my clients, when I was at the firm, introduced me to Michonne. Michonne was doing sales and insurance at the time, and he sort of separately texted us in two different directions. So Michonne was looking to grow her business, expand her business, came to him and said, hey, who are some, really like cool, interesting guys that have business about them, need this kind of service that I offer. And then he came to me and said, hey, look, there's this super, super dope woman. She's X, Y, and Z. She's beautiful. She's smart. She really wants to meet you from a business side. But, I think it would be a good idea if you connect with this young lady. And so, we connected on business level. And then from a business side, it went from business to personal, pretty quickly. And then next thing you know, we're together and partners in life. And, she helps me in everything that I do. And I hope that I can do the same thing for her.
Okay. Michonne's always been a go-getter.
Yeah.
A grinder from the time she get up to the time she go to bed.
So he was playing matchmaker. He's like, y'all could do business, but I think
that might be a vibe between you two.
I think y'all should talk.
Sure. That was exactly what happened.
Okay. I'm telling you, when you guys, if you end up following him before we end the live, this is like lifestyle of the black and famous, okay? Because suave. The way you guys move is so suave because you're both business people, you're both professionals, and you also have your family. Yep. So how much time do you have to really devote to do what you do? Because some people say, okay, I want to work for a famous celebrity in law. Yep. How many hours a day do you find yourself personally devoting to that?
You want the honest answer or you want to answer for people in the back?
Oh, everybody in the back to hear it. Everybody.
My days start at 5, 6 in the morning. and they go till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And, a lot of that is because we do a lot of business overseas. So in the mornings, I start my day either talking to people in the Middle East or talking to people in Africa. They're 6 to 8 hours ahead of us. So that takes care of my morning. And then everybody wakes up on the East Coast. So we got a ton of business there. And then at night, we still got a lot of business in LA. So if it's 9 o'clock in Atlanta, it's only 6 p.m. in Los Angeles. So, you find yourself in multiple coasts, multiple times, and multiple time zones. So it's a full on commitment. I mean, when you work for somebody that is as, I think blessed as Steve Harvey is to have the opportunities that he has in the business that he's built, you're committed to it just as he is. I mean, his days start at 5 in the morning. As you all know, he's got a morning radio show. Right, so I'll give you an example for today. So he wakes up at 5:30, morning radio show. From there, we go film Family Feud. We shoot 4 shows of Family Feud. That's probably from, call it 1 to 8 p.m. From there, he's still got another project that he works on at night. So his days go from 6 a.m. to midnight. So for me, being, kind of the under him, next in command, I feel like I've got to put in just as much time, if not more, for the protecting him, for being to make sure that his life is what it needs to be, and take as much pressure off of him from dealing with things that I have to kind of have in my bailiwick, whether it's like personal people, whether it's HR, whether it's accounting, whether it's legal, whatever it may be. I try to be that all to him. So that's a full-time job. 365 days a year, you're always working at it to make sure that everything is copacetic.
Now that you let us know about how the days are, and people can start fantasizing about that lifestyle, you're not going to be devoted to that type.
Well, you got to put that work in.
What is about people surround us? Because we all have a moment where we're all trying to come up and do something, whatever our passion is.
Sure.
But then some of the things that can hold us back can be the surroundings, like individuals that are either feeding you the wrong information, possibly a yes man, or just not out to have your benefit. I mean, what are some of the key elements you tell folks to look out for when they're trying to come up and they have certain people trying to latch on till they come up?
I think you just got to be like super committed to whatever your almost what your path is, right? And when I say that super committed, that's going to like put out certain people. Like they're not going to be able to go on your journey with you, right? Because you're going to be so focused, so committed. So, I'll give you an example. I mean, when I went to law school, I just got out of college. I was 22, 23 years old, and I was in the library studying 16, 17 hours a day outside of class. So if you think about that, you don't have a lot of time for a bunch of foolishness, right? So if you've got a goal, you've got a thing that you're committed to and making sure that you accomplish, you're just not going to have the time to put up with like nonsense, right? So they're going to fall off by the wayside, because if you're so committed to this thing, and whether it's you want to be a filmmaker, whether it's you want to be a doctor, whether it's want to be a lawyer, it's going to take everything that you have. And so in order to do that, you're going to have to like leave some people to the side. And my friends, and I think they knew that they were still my friends, but they also knew that I was committed to something. So I didn't go to bars. I didn't go party. I didn't kick it. You know what I mean? Like I was in the library on Friday night, sometimes sleeping in my, I think at that point in time I had like an Eddie Bauer Explorer or something. But I would sleep in the trunk so I could get like 2 hours and wouldn't have to go home. So I slept on floors. Just so I could stay up and be, the best I could be at whatever I was doing. So I'm hyper competitive, but at the same time, for me, it's if I have a goal to do something, I'm going to give it my all. I'm not going to shortchange myself. And that may also mean you're gonna be putting some people to the side. And I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying if they're not as committed as you to whatever that goal is, and it's your personal goal, it's not anybody else's. So if you all want to become the biggest podcast, you're gonna have to do things that others aren't doing. And so that's going to take a commitment from you. It's going to take a commitment from your family. You're going to make a lot of sacrifices. I made tons of sacrifices throughout my journey. I still make them today. I mean, there are days I want to be home. I don't want to be on an airplane. I don't want to be in Africa. I don't want to be in the Middle East. I don't want to be in Europe. But that's what this calls for. This is what I signed up for. It's what I'm committed to. So what I have is I have a good support system that understands that this is my journey. This is my commitment. This is my, my job. And so, yes, there are some times when it's like, okay, Brandon, enough's enough. Put the phone down, stop talking. This is dinner. But I think people know that this is what I've been this way for so long that I just think that that's what it takes. And there are people that will say there's another way. I don't know a shortcut. I don't know how you can do it easier, quicker. I talk to a lot of young people all the time and I mentor them and I say, there is no shortcut to this life. Like you can see all the things that you look at rappers and you look at people in entertainment, you look at sports people. But what you don't know is what they've put into that. You don't know that they were 13 years old waking up at 5 a.m. to go practice. That you don't know how many hours in time that they put in. Yes, they make millions of dollars now, but you weren't there. It's that old adage of you weren't with them shooting in the gym. I mean, I know that was said in a very different context, but it's right. It takes that and more in order to get it done. There just are no shortcuts. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what they try to tell you. I don't know anybody that's been uber successful or even successful. Luck doesn't matter. You can get lucky, but you can't sustain it. So at the end of the day, for me, it's you got to put in the time. It's going to take time. It's going to take as much as you have to give. And then, as I would always almost say, then it's going to take some more.
You said a mouthful on that one. And I mean, in addition, because TC is in here, TC Tompkins, and he's up here talking about the beautiful baby girl you got because you've taken on fatherhood for the last couple of years.
Yep.
That responsibility within itself, what addition, joy, or lessons has it taught you as a father?
I mean, fatherhood and parenthood, it teaches you a balance, right? For me, before, Mashawn and before Emory, it was my life was consumed by, ambition and success. And I just did everything that I could. That was my life. I would come home and all I would be thinking about is, okay, what's the next deal? What's the next client? What's the next case? What's the next this? And it was just all consuming. Well, what being a husband and a father does is it gives you some balance. It gives you that's not all of your life. I mean, and my clients they used to tell me before Mashawn came around and before Emory, they would just say, Brandon, when do you stop? When is your break? And look, I mean, I've always been a balanced person in a sense of the way I want to be balanced. So look, I have fun. I'm a super fun individual. I'm gonna go out when I want to, but when I'm on a goal or I've got something I'm trying to accomplish, I don't have any holdbacks. So what they give me is it gives me when I get home, my daughter doesn't care anything about my job. She doesn't care anything about what my day was like. She doesn't care whether I had a good day or a bad day. All she does is wants to run up and scream, Daddy, you know what I mean? And so to have that in your spirit, to have that, you have a little person that is completely dependent upon you, but loves you to no end. And just being able to come home and I have, a freedom and a peace with them. And it I can put my phone down. I can it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay because you've got other people that are dependent upon you. You got other people that matter to you. And so for me, it's, I do everything that I can to, when I get home, let it go. And I didn't used to do that. I there was no let go for me. It was, I am going 150 miles an hour and I'm going to do that for as long as I can and for as many hours as I can. And then when I pass out and fall asleep, great, cool, that's fine. But for me, it was, here's the goal. And whatever that takes, I don't care how many days, I don't care how many months, I don't care how many years. And then, when you get your family, your daughter, your children, your sons, it allows you to balance it because you realize there's something more than just, working or success or whatever. You realize that there's more to life and that you're pouring into a person, you're pouring into a wife, you're pouring into a child. And you just want to make sure that they're safe, that they've got all the things that they need and their needs. And so they've provided me as much balance as anything that I've ever had in life.
And with that being said, has she indicated, because both you and your wife are professional people, entrepreneurs, has she started indicating what she would like to do for a career path? In a second. Yes.
Oh,
So they start playing, and
look, she loves animals. She loves dinosaurs. But honestly, like for me, and I talk to people about this, and my daughter's almost 4, and what's important for me, quite frankly, is that she just grows up to be like a balanced, cool individual. Like I'm not asking her, and I don't expect her to be some rocket scientist. If she becomes that, great. But really what I want her to be is happy. I want her to be, she doesn't have to be a lawyer. She doesn't have to be a doctor. I want her to be like happy with her own life, and whatever her journey is her journey. It's not my journey, right? Like and I think sometimes parents are, you try to want your children, everybody wants their children to be successful and happy and fulfilled. But honestly, for me, it's just, man, I just want her to be like a cool, good individual that people like, that she works hard or does whatever it is she does. If she wants to be, super, super successful, and I will tell her, like, darling, that's going to take a lot and it's going to cost you a lot. But at the end of the day, I just want her to be happy. What I do with her now is like, again, I was one of those like kids that was super competitive, reading at 3 and 4 years old. I was always a super smart kid. I always worked hard. But I'm not asking for her that. I want her to be who Emery is born to be and is raised to be. I will provide as much support. Her and her mother and I will provide so much support to her. But at the end of the day, it's like, she wants to be a ballet dancer or a gymnast or whatever it may be. I want to just have that, because if that's her happiness, then great. It's not my life. It's not, my job is to steer her in a direction that ultimately gives her a life that she's happy and excited about. Because for me, that's going to be the biggest and best thing. Like, it's not because of what my life's going to be. It's not because of what her mom's life is or isn't. She may not want what I have. She may not want to be who I am, right? And so that's the focus for us, I think, really is just giving her as much of an ability to be balanced, giving her much of an ability to ultimately get the life that she wants, not what I want for her, not what her mother wants for her. If she asks for my help, I'm going to be there to provide it. If she wants my assistance in anything, I'll do what I've got to do to give it to her. But it's not my job for her to live the life that daddy sees and wants, or is going to try to force her to do. It's for her to find her thing that makes her as happy as what my career has made for me. I hope that's what she finds. And so if I can find ways to give her that and to provide her that, that's my job as a parent.
I applaud you for that.
And I think she will do great things, being that you're not pressuring her and watching mommy and daddy both do great things.
Exactly.
So yeah, and you look, a lot of his example, right? Like, I was, when she was 2.5 years old, year and a half ago, she would, see my my work bag. And she's like, "Oh, daddy, that's your work bag. You got to go to work. Mommy, where are you going? You're going to your office." And, obviously those types of things make, understand, they see things at a whole nother level, even at that age. So she clearly knows we work. She knows that we have a work ethic. She knows that we get up every day and that we're committed to something, right? And so, at the end of the day, she's going to have that part of us because she's just going to see it. And then it becomes, you talk about it more, right? Like well, what do you do, Daddy? What do you do for a living, Mom? What, how did you do it? And so just by the nature of what we do and what our lives are, she will get some of that. But the important thing for me, again, is not that she becomes a lawyer or an entrepreneur or a business owner. That's all icing on the cake, man. It really is. Like, at the end of the day, is she going to become a fulfilled, happy, jubilant person? I've worked, and I a lot of people wouldn't accept my life. They don't want to do what it takes. And so if that's not what she wants, great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have to. And I'm not going to force her to choose what I've done. If she decides to do that, I'm going to give her every bit of support to do it. But at the end of the day, her happiness is the biggest thing for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, somebody wants to know the best way to copyright your material.
Yeah, I mean, some of it depends on what the material is. So, like all intellectual property. So what you also have to think about when you step back and think about what IP is. Obviously, you all mentioned earlier, it's an idea, right? So there's varying levels. There's trademarks. There's copyright. There's patents. So all of those are different types of ideas. And what you're really trying to do is to be able to enforce and prevent someone else from utilizing your idea. That's all, like, IP protection is to force another person from, or to prevent another person, prohibit another person from utilizing your information. So copyrights are, it's written material. So all of it kind of depends on what the IP is. A trademark is like a slogan. It's a name. It's, Coca-Cola. It's, if you've got a motto, or, Gospel Heifers could technically have a trademark. You could seek to get a trademark of the title. So then in that, element of what you all do in podcasting, no one else would be able to take that name without either paying you a license fee or something else. A patent is like a process. It's like an item. It's like a robot. It's a thing that you are utilizing or making. It's what's in your phone. Like, your phone today probably has 150 patents associated with it. And so these companies, Samsung, Nokia, all these other, they fight like crazy. Apple, they have millions and millions of, like, patents over the smallest thing. When just to press your phone on and off, that's probably 10 patents. To turn the volume on the side of your phone, that's like 7 or 8 patents. So that's what the whole idea is. And so when you're coming up with ideas, whether you're an artist, a talent, you want to be able to protect that idea, right? So if you're a writer, or if you are you've got a television show idea, again, those are a little bit different. You can obviously get them, registered in certain ways, but writing a television show and different things, is just because of the nature of the business and how it's whether it's a novel idea, a new idea, whether you've cribbed something from something else, it's a little bit different. But it all depends on what your idea is and if it's worthy of being protected. Like, that's the key and what people should focus on, no matter what that is.
Because one thing we run into a lot, since we have a lot of comedians that come on and off our platform, is that comedians will do these skits on social media. And before you know it, they'll have a show that's actually on Netflix or something of that nature, doing pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And then they'll get on this platform and they'll be like, they stole my idea. Well, what did you do to protect it?
Again, like that's an example, right? Like, it's very difficult to protect a joke, right? Like, or like something. And so really, in all honesty, that's one of those areas that, like, when you're a comedian and you do a show, if you're Kevin Hart, the reason they keep their stuff close to the vest and they don't do anything until they go on tour, they'll do very small rooms. They'll do like 20, 30 rooms. And if you ever think about it, they always tell people, you can't take your phone. You can't take your phone. You got to check your phone at the door. The reason for that is twofold. One, you obviously are going to go on tour, at some point later in the year. So you don't want people to, while you're working on your jokes, you don't want people to get them and know them earlier. But the second part is, you can't really protect a joke, right? It's sort of like, it's about my family. So a lot of times you'll see comedians will say, oh, well, he took my joke. Well, I mean, not really. And so there's a code amongst comedians, quite frankly, of you don't take other people's jokes, but it's not something that's necessarily protectable, so to speak. Yeah. But it's one of those things that like it's a faux pas if you do, right? You just, as a comedian, you don't take someone else's joke. Like, you just don't. Like, you it's supposed to be your talent. It's very much similar to rap, right? So you remember a few years ago, this big thing about, well, Drake has a ghostwriter and, he's got somebody that's writing for him. Well, in rap, you're supposed to like write your own rhymes. And so when other people are using, but you've got people that sample, you've got people that do different things. So they're getting paid by the virtue of them having copyrights. So if you've got a song that Earth, Wind, and Fire did 35 years ago, they registered that. And then obviously today, if you want to take advantage of using it as a sample or a loop or any piece of it, you've got to pay the family. I mean, there was a big case a few years ago from T.I. It's T.I., Robin Thicke, and Pharrell. And it was a Marvin Gaye song. And if you listen to it, they went to trial, it was a big argument. But at the end of the day, the song was sort of cribbed from an old Marvin Gaye song. Yeah. Marvin Gaye's family sued based on the fact that it was their intellectual property of the estate and won. I mean, I think the judgment was for $10 or $12 million. Like, so if you think about that, so that was one of those where you obviously from a music standpoint or crafting a song or, you want to be able to make sure that is protected, because otherwise you have no recompense, right? Like, you have no ability to like go after anybody to say, you owe me X, Y, and Z because I came up with that beat, I came up with that song. So that's a very, very important lesson. Just that one, obviously everybody's not Marvin Gaye, everybody's not Pharrell, but you never know, right? You never know if your song is that next thing. So you got to make sure that you do everything you can to protect it.
Exactly. One thing I've seen on since quarantine is that, we've been turning a lot to social media for interaction.
Yeah.
And some of us are turning the interaction into shows. And people will sit up there and do actual competition with each other. And so, they stole my ideas or they stole my ideas. Is it the same concept as it is with the joke scenario?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say, like, somebody took your idea. Like, I see decks and show ideas all the time. Like, I literally was talking to someone earlier today, and I was like, yes, this show isn't really it's novel, but there's been 7 other shows like this. There's probably 7 other movies that are like this.
Yeah,
and you can't really stop that. I mean, if you go to your Netflix, there you can try any kind of genre, and there's 50 different shows, right? There's 50 different movies that are probably similar. They're, at least in some respects, they're similar and the same. And so that's one of those, you gotta have something that's new for you. You gotta have something that's you bring to the table. There's gotta be a tweak to it. There's gotta be, but I mean, the thing about the reality competitions, I mean, The Voice is, this, and then I saw something the other day. It's no longer, what's the one with the mass singer? It's Masked Dancer. I mean, there's always going to be a proliferation of ideas. And so what your job is in like a television world is to just get your idea out there first and to make sure that you get to market first and get your idea out there and in the space.
Yeah. And that is something I want people to understand about protecting themselves. So let's just say they get an offer from a network.
Yeah.
Network is very anxious to take this creative content and put it on their network. What are some of the pros and cons of that kind of scenario?
So the pro is that you sold a project to a network. I mean, that you're in the game at that point. Like you're in the business, so to speak. The con is that the network is putting up the money. They are putting all the resources behind it. They are putting the marketing dollars behind it. And so they're going to have some control. There's going to be some things you give up. I mean, for instance, you go to Netflix, I mean, you are giving up your show. I mean, hook, line, and sinker, they take over merchandising. If your show becomes like the biggest thing ever, they're going to get the marketing dollars. They're going to get the merchandising, all of the things that emanate from that show. But you're on Netflix, right? Like what other business right now? I mean, from a streaming side, like who's bigger than Netflix? I mean, you get to be seen by millions and millions of people. So, it's something that you're going to be able to make money off of. And it's also like you gotta balance it, right? Like how much do I want to keep of this and put it on, YouTube to be able to make something where you might get 1,000 people to look at it, versus if I get on Netflix and I get the right promotion behind it, millions and millions of people will see it. And then you've got a show and you can put on your IMDb that says, look, I've got my show on Netflix. I'm a writer. So then that gets you to the next writer's table, or that gets you to the next room or the next idea. Because it's the old adage that I say, success breeds success, right? So if you are in the game, other people want to be associated with you because of what you've done. So it's like, well, you had a Netflix show that was sold. Or, so I want to talk to you about other ideas that you may have. I want to talk to you about other things that you bring to say. What other shows do you have in your belt with? Who can we pair you with? What other idea do you have that we can sell? Because they already know that Netflix has purchased one product already. So it's just a matter of like, I'm not one of those. I'm not a greedy person, if that makes sense. And so what I'm always thinking of is, what's going to get me the best reach? What's going to get me the best platform? And so maybe I'm giving up some dollars. Maybe I'm giving up, some of the control and some of the back end. But I'm also looking at it like it's a legacy play for me. So it's longevity. It's like, okay, this isn't going to be the last show that I'm involved in, right? Like if I've written a show well enough to get on a Netflix or sell it to Netflix, then there's going to be other things that I'm going to be able to do. And so I look at it more of like a marathon, not very transactional, and think of it like, okay, if I get on ABC primetime, or I get on Netflix, or I get on, where am I going to get that type of eyeballs? Because yes, the entertainment game is changing, but there's still going to be 4 or 5 major places that people consume their content from, right? So even if you're on your phone, people can still look at Netflix. People are still going to look at Disney Plus. People are still going to look. So you can think that everything's going to change because like people are just going to stream. Okay, that's great. That's fine. But it's still going to be the same 5 or 6, companies that control that. So you're going to have to go to them one way or the other. Even if you say, well, I just go to YouTube. Well, YouTube is now turned into a television station. I mean, they're becoming, much more than this clips and different things. And so you just got to be willing to kind of move with, if you really want your idea to get out there. I believe in going with the biggest and the best. And so at the present moment, it's the Apple Plus, it's the Netflix, it's the Disney Plus, it's Paramount. I mean, those are the winners right now. So you kind of need to, if you really want to get in the game and get your product out there, that's where you go.
Okay. Yeah, just the stuff that you just laid out there, because I've seen creators get involved with big networks, and if things don't work out, they can't use the title or the creative content for a number of years, depending on what kind of contract they have set up.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's the game. I mean, it's again, because it's almost like music, right? And everybody has different views about this and what the music game is and what it isn't. But if I'm taking the risk, if I am, yes, you're the talent. You all are doing the work, putting out your podcast, coming up with ideas about platforms, reaching out to people. But at the end of the day, to take it from where you are now to primetime on ABC or the middle of the day on NBC for a talk show, daytime talk show, the only way that you do that is I got to put millions of dollars behind it from production, from marketing, from whatever. So you don't get that for free, right? Like, yes, you came up with the idea, but at the end of the day, the only way that it got bolstered and seen and viewed and whatever is because I put all the resources and took all the risk behind it. You're the talent. I'm going to pay you. But, people look at it like, well, but the record company got, $100 million or, such and such made $100 million off the show. Well, it's because they put it up. They put the money up. They put all the resources. They took the chance because they didn't know if it was going to become something, right? Like at the end of the day, like even if Netflix is buying these shows, right? They don't know which one's going to become what it's going to become. No one could imagine or dream that Queen's Gambit was going to become what it became. I mean, it was in the works for like, they were trying to sell the show for like 10 years. And it finally, like somebody finally committed to it. I'm going to like do a 7-part show where some young girl is a savant at chess and somebody's going to watch that. Well, people did. But look how long it took to happen. Netflix couldn't have known like from day one that whether that was going to become that. So yes, you're going to give up something, but you're also going to gain something, gain notoriety, gain experience, gain, how do I get to the next show or the next thing? And so that's the idea. It's like, yes, you've got to give something up, but that's because you're not yet in a position to be able to say like, no, I want to keep all of the back end. Like there are people that have gotten there. Drake makes a ton of like calls like that, but that's because he's put in the time. He didn't do that on his first deal. He didn't do that on his first contract. And so, yes, once he proves himself, he gets paid mightily for it. And he's got a lot more control. He's got a lot more ability to say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I got to have 50% of the back end or whatever it may be, because he's like a supreme talent. And people have made all of that money that they put up and everything that they put up, 15 years ago, 10 years ago when we got started. They made that back times 10, but they're like, okay, you made it back, so we're good to go. We'll pay you now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So do you know when we get our first contract, who we calling? I need you to look through this with a fine tooth.
Yeah, no, I look
look
through contracts like that every day. So there's nothing but a fine tooth comb's gonna get through that.
Yeah, because Michelle know I'm real funny on working with people. I'm that person.
But for some reason, as a creator, you have to be, guarded sometimes because you don't know the affiliation with your brand with certain individuals or certain productions.
Sure,
it may be a good benefit for your brand as well as theirs. It could be a backfire. And that's why I'm always saying be mindful who you affiliate your brand with.
Amen. And look, you got to know. You have to know who you want to know who people have been in business with before. You want to know how they treated other talent, how they treated other writers. I mean, the entertainment space, just like any other space, is a small world. You can find people that have worked with other production houses. You can find people who work with other studios. You can find people who work with other showrunners. So you just ask around. It's like, well, what's your experience with this person? What's your experience? Who else have you worked for? You can ask them. Like, what other shows have you bought? And how do those people feel today? Like, how long has that show been on? But listen, you're going to. It's all risk, right? Like you're taking a risk, they're taking a risk, and at the end of the day, like you gotta. And I'm a big believer in this, and I'm not in any way flippant. I'm not in any way, but I'm also a realist. And what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, like you gotta like take here's the pro, here's the con, and move forward. Yeah. So many people are paralyzed by they overthink things, and yes, you can protect yourself to no end. You can button up every single thing, but you are going to have to take a leap. And at the end of the day, you might not have every single thing that you want. You may not get everything you want in that deal, but the reality is, and what I used to tell my clients when we were resolving cases or matters or we're working on a corporate deal, I would always say the best deals are ones when both people hurt a little bit, right? Like I didn't get everything that I wanted. You didn't get everything that you wanted, but we both are kind of complaining a little bit. We left the table like, man, I could have got me a little more money, man. I could have, and they're saying I could have paid a little less, right? Because here's the thing: if everybody feels like, our one side feels like I won, the other side's gonna feel terrible. So I'm gonna have to do business with you again, right?
Yeah.
And so when I say again about it's a marathon, and no matter what business you're in, it's not a sprint. I'm going to see these people again. So that also allows me, I want to be fair. I want to be in a position where I'm not taking advantage of people, because I'm going to see you again, or I'm going to see your partner again, or you're going to go down the street and say, man,
The sound went out.
wasn't great. And I
Go.
didn't. So that's it's a risk. But
Yeah, well, you know, long as I don't get the slime ball vibe,
yeah,
I'm pretty good.
yeah.
But once I get that vibe, like,
Well,
Now, I
listen,
know everybody-
vibes are important. I mean, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're still people, right? So, you know, when you've met what I would conceive as a good person, or you've met people that shady, it doesn't take forever. I mean, there's this book called Blink that Malcolm Gladwell wrote years ago, and the idea behind it is, as people, our perception, we decide things within the first 7 to 10 seconds about people.
yeah.
And we're typically right. What happens is we then convince ourselves for some other reason around what our gut and intuition tell us. Yeah. I am the biggest believer in follow your gut, follow your intuition, follow your dream. If you have a dream, it's your dream. Don't let someone tell you it's not your dream. They will talk you out of it, right? So at the end of the day, God put something in your spirit. God put something in your sister's spirit. So you all have to go do that. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what someone else thinks. It doesn't matter what this writer thinks. At the end of the day, you know what's in your heart and what's been placed there and what it is that you're trying to realize. But it doesn't take as long as we've been told. Like, we know right then. I mean, we don't gotta like do a whole lot and talk to somebody for 40 hours. You already know.
You don't. No, I was raised on go with your gut instinct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've trusted way more, and I've always been right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way it works. I mean, our gut and our intuition is there for a reason. It's a protector of our spirits, of our minds. So, don't give it up. Follow it. Listen to it. Trust it.
Yeah.
And just believe in it, and just keep stepping, even when it doesn't look exactly how you want it to look. Just keep pressing forward.
Fact.
Man, I'm telling you. Do you have a book in the works? I'm
No.
praying and hoping that you have that on
I
the
would
agenda.
think you would, yeah.
Because just this time we've talked to you, you've dropped so much knowledge and just basic common sense.
Yeah, and I see why Cuz said, yeah, I like him. I got you, Cuz. I got you. I feel you. No, because, you were upfront. I like upfront people. I don't like, Michelle don't want me cursing a lot, but I don't like bullshit people. That's a big turn off with me. The moment I vibe, and I'm like, I ain't got no time for this. Mm-hmm. So, no, I see why Michelle is like, I do. Okay, Michelle.
That's too funny.
You got a lot of fam in here besides your wife. We got cousins in here and uncles in here.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Applauding you. It's our first time meeting, and I hate gotta meet for real life and meet the baby.
No, it's we're here, and these are things that I mean I like platforms like this. You know what I'm saying? Because it allows. One, I'm a normal dude. Like I went to public school. I'm a kid from Decatur, Georgia. I'm nothing special. I'm nothing, any of that.
I got a little hood. And that's not an insult. Street sense. I got a little street sense from you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but that's led me. I can go in any room. Like I can go in a room with.
There you go.
I play AAU basketball with like all of the street kids, like whatever. So for me, I've been a balanced dude all my life, and I've always been able to get along with people. I've always been able to like blend in with people and make sure they're comfortable. And so, these types of rooms for me, it's like it's great because I've been so many places and seen so many things. Not the Donny Hathaway song, but for me, it's important to kind of just explain to people that there's nothing special. I've just worked like so much and so long and so hard. And so, if anything, I've got a great family behind me, my parents, my grandparents, I've got a support system. And so I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm supposed to be where I am. You know what I mean? Like I'm, you know, for me, it's because I had a wonderful like background, and like I had family that supported me in whatever it is that I wanted to do, and in the way that they knew how to support me. And so, you know, for me, it's I just want to tell people that are like, you know, you 23 and you trying to figure it out, you trying to decide what you're gonna do and where you're gonna go, that this is all possible, no matter what it is. Now, what you have to know on the other side of that, the sacrifice is going to be great. And you know, I haven't had the perfect life. I haven't had you know, I've had ups, I've had downs, I've had, you know, I've had it all. But the thing that I never did was I never gave up, and I never even knew how to give up, quite frankly. It was, yeah, I had a bad moment, or I had a bad month, or I had a bad year, but I just kept working. And that's what I think young people that I try to impress upon them is, this is what it's going to take. You see Diddy, you know, flying around on a jet, and you see him partying and whatever, and you think that's the life. That's not the life. He was in a studio, you know, when he was 22 years old, working 20 hours a day. He's been doing that for 20 years, and he still wakes up at 6 in the morning and still pressing. And so people think that there's a microwave to this. There just isn't.
No, it's not.
It is going to take all the commitment, all of the things that you never thought you had, and it's going to take that and more, because that's what's on the other end. As I tell people all the time, they don't give away no millions just to give them away. You're gonna have to be nice though. No, but I can tell you right now, they're not going to. You're going to have to go get them. And you know, the thing that I see so much of now is like, because there's so much almost like news and media and whatever, that you know how much people make. You know that this and that. You've seen Lifestyles Rich and Famous. You've seen Cribs and all this other stuff. But like that then makes people think it's easy. And the thing that I try to explain to everybody that I know, it just isn't. There is no moment of easiness to success. And you know, you can try to, oh, I'm gonna just sleep my way through. Well, okay.
That ain't gonna last long.
It ain't gonna last long. I'm gonna go to bed at, you know, I'm gonna go to bed at. And look, I say that, and I don't suggest it, and I've said this to, you know, to people. It's like, you don't have to have my life. You don't have to even want my life, because I promise most people, if they knew what I did and how I did it and for how long I've done it, right? Because you can see me now, you can see my social media page now, but what you don't remember is when I was up for 3 or 4 days straight writing a brief, or when I was, you know, trying to get forward or press forward and get clients and whatever it may be. That's what it is, right? Like, that's the game, and that's 20 years ago. I've been putting in this time from, you know, for a long time. So when people see it now, they're like, oh man, like, you got, none of that matters. It's like, at the end of the day, you're going to have to put in the work, and you got to put in some more work, and you got to put in some more work. So, because you don't get to stop. I don't get to stop at my age now and just say, well, I'm gonna kick my feet up. No, I'm pressing like I don't have anything. I'm pressing that hard today. And the reason for that is because I have a commitment to me. I have a commitment to people. And hopefully that's what, you know, some folks can gather from this is, man, I'll leave with this one story. I was a young partner at this law firm that I was at. And my mentor, you know, I was complaining about something. I was like, oh, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that, blah, blah. I talked to him like 15 minutes. He leaned back in his chair and he said, Brandon, it's just hard. There was no sugarcoating. There was no, you know, but because when you get to a certain level, it's just hard. Like, I mean, that is at the end of the day, that is it. And if you don't understand that and you don't appreciate that, you're not going to get to the journey that you want, or at least the destination that you want, because that's the truth of the matter. It's just hard. So all those that are here, or those that listen, you want success, you want the trappings, you want all the stuff. It's just hard.
just gotta keep working. I mean, you preaching to the choir because with our dad, he worked hard. Yeah. He was always overseas. He missed birthdays, mainly mine, but he missed birthdays. But should we thankful because we lived a comfortable life. I mean, we cannot complain.
Sure.
Cannot complain.
Yep.
So I understand what you're saying as far as the work
and the sacrifice.
And then me and this heifer definitely have done that. Putting in the work, because we took a hiatus for a minute and we came back. Yeah. And we came back harder and we learned from the past about working with people and not listening to certain people that buy things.
Sure.
Oh, she being shady, Brandon.
Oh, it's all right. No, I get it. Anyway. Well, but y'all got the message. Y'all got the story. So, we all good.
Exactly. Yeah. But, I can't thank you enough, man, because your time, your knowledge, just in a short period of time that we talked, y'all need to, if we had, I'm not going to be tacky and say cash after, man, but I'm just saying. No, but we will make it rain. Okay?
No, I'm good. I'm just, again, if one person got, anything from it that, again, the big thing that I would say is like, it's all possible, man. Like there are no limits. There are no, there's no ceiling or cap or whatever. If you want it, you can go get it. Like, that's the thing that, I hope people understand and can see, because that's the truth. And that's not just a saying, it's real. There's nobody here to stop you from doing, and especially now when the knowledge is so accessible, everything you can find out how to do something, learn something, put the time in, it's on the table. So go get it, stay committed, fight, scrap, wake up early, go to sleep late, and then you'll look up one day and you'll be like, man, I've kind of built something. I built a life that's okay. So that's what I would leave people with.
Oh no,